An unguided missile effortlessly took up the pole position on the inside of Grange Break, and Scott and Banks, Paul Carberry, now getting through on the inside to take it up clearly and setting a very fast clip as they go towards the back the first time. Scott and Banks with a red cap by 4 or 5 lengths to Unguided Missile, and behind them is Grange Break on the outside of Northern Lad. They've set off at a very fast pace in this 3-miler. Further back is AVRO, ANSON and Jodami. The Gold Cup winner of '93 is last of all. Coming towards the first of 18, and Scott and Banks judged that to perfection. Grange Break was the only one to lose ground at that as they head down the side of the course towards fence number 2, and Scott and Banks, Paul Carberry, just steadied at it there and landed over it by 6 or 8 lengths. Unguided Missile on the outside of AVRO, ANSON, and Northern Lad is on the right of picture with the white colours black cap. Grange Break behind them with Jodami at the third. Scott and Banks just jumping a little bit to his right, but cleared it well from Unguided Missile. Northern Lad is just behind them in third on the inside of Grange Break as they go to the fourth. Then AVRO, ANSON behind them. Scott and Banks cleared it well from Unguided Missile in second. Just AVRO, ANSON just pecked there on landing. That's Grange Break, the green colours on the far side, followed then by Northern Lad as they continue their journey down the far side of the course. Well, at that open ditch, he stood off there, Scott and Banks, and landed over it in magnificent style by 6 or 8 lengths. In second place, the Unguided Missile. Northern Lad, the black cap, getting up on the inside. Grange Break is behind them from AVRO, ANSON, and a couple of lengths to Jodami, who whips them in a good 8 or 10 lengths as they start the sweeping bend towards home the first time. Well, blinkered, or I should say visored for the first time, Scott and Banks. Well, is his enthusiasm rekindled or not? Paul Carberry has him travelling sweetly in the lead as they swing into the straight now towards fence number 6. Scott and Banks comes to it now, got in a fraction close, but landed over it, nicely clear of Unguided Missile. Then on the inside, Northern Lad with a black cap, followed then by AVRO, ANSON, the noseband from Jodami, just moving up into second last position, and still ridden along Grange Break as they come to the 7th. Scott and Banks by a couple of lengths. They're closing on him now, but he jumped it well, the leader. Unguided Missile jumped it well. Grange Break was very awkward back in the field as they continue their journey up the straight now towards fence number 8. Scott and Banks with a red cap by 2 lengths to Unguided Missile in second. AVRO, ANSON has just improved slightly to third as they head over that one. Jodami behind them from Northern Lad, and a Grange Break some way behind them, about 6 or 8 lengths behind the second last horse. Coming to the second ditch now, which is number 9 overall, and drawing to it, Scott and Banks took off and landed over clear of Unguided Missile, who was untidy at it. 2 lengths away then is AVRO, ANSON, followed by Jodami, Northern Lad, and 8 or 10 lengths to Grange Break. Coming towards the water, number 10, Scott and Banks just given a slap with the whip there as he headed over that one by about a length and a half or so to AVRO, ANSON as they're back where they started. Unguided Missile on the outside, followed by Jodami. 2 lengths away is Northern Lad, who's being hard ridden at this stage, and then about 10 or 12 lengths away, Grange Break as they head towards the back the final time, and Scott and Banks has really been stretching them. Scott and Banks out in front in this Peter Marsh chase by 3 parts of a length. Unguided Missile in second. 3 parts away then is AVRO, ANSON, followed by Jodami on the left of picture in the black and white hooped colours, and behind them is Northern Lad as they continue their journey towards fence number 11. Scott and Banks the first to head over that one. Northern Lad back in the field, not jumping well on the right of picture there, and is losing ground, being scrubbed up. Grange Break the only one behind him as they head towards the 12th. Unguided Missile on the outside has moved up now to grab a narrow lead from AVRO, ANSON. Just behind them, Scott and Banks giving ground now. Jodami starting to loom up now with a big challenge on the far side, and going well for Norman Williamson. Unguided Missile headed over that one, about a length and a half clear of AVRO, ANSON, who just went through the top of it. Jodami behind them. Scott and Banks is being hard ridden, and they're nicely clear of Northern Lad, who I reckon's called it a day as they come towards the next one, and further back is Grange Break. Northern Lad has been pulled up. Heading towards the last one down the back, which is the open ditch. And the leader here, this is 4 out. Unguided Missile the far side. AVRO, ANSON the near side with the noseband. Jodami behind them, given a slap with the whip. Jodami went through the top of that. Scott and Banks, a bad mistake. He's very weary, and Grange Break has been pulled up. So only 4 continuing in this Peter Marsh chase as they leave the back now. Unguided Missile the far side by half a length to AVRO, ANSON with a noseband. Jodami being ridden along now, given a slap with the whip, trying to raise another effort, and they're nicely clear as they round that corner now. Scott and Banks is 100 yards behind them. Swinging into the straight now, 3 fences left to jump. Unguided Missile nearest the camera, just showing the way from AVRO ANSON. Here's Jodami starting to loom up now as they come to 3 out. Good jump there by Unguided Missile. Jodami starting to loom up, followed by AVRO ANSON. A three-way battle as they head up towards the second last. Unguided Missile in the centre, a narrow leader from AVRO ANSON the right. On the left is Jodami. As they come towards the second last now, it's Unguided Missile. Takes off, lands over to mighty leap at the second last. Jodami given a slap with a whip on the left, followed by AVRO ANSON, and the only other one behind them is Scott and Banks. One fence left to jump in the Peter Marsh, and Unguided Missile in the centre. AVRO ANSON the right, on the left is Jodami. They draw towards it now. Unguided Missile lands over it in the lead by about 3 parts of a length. AVRO ANSON, everything thrown at him the far side. Then Jodami under the whip is starting to run on fairly well. It's a long run in now, a furlong left to go. Unguided Missile in front. Jodami trying hard to wear him down. AVRO ANSON the far side. Unguided Missile being grabbed now by Jodami and AVRO ANSON. It's Unguided Missile. Jodami puts his head in front, and Jodami gets up to win the Peter Marsh chase. A mighty victory. Second Unguided Missile, third is AVRO ANSON, and 150 yards into Scott and Banks, who's last of the four to finish. The winner is number 1, Jodami, owned by John Eden, trained by Peter Beaumont, ridden by Norman Williamson. He's pulled the race out of the fire in the dying strides. A magnificent ride by Norman Williamson. Second is number 2, Unguided Missile, owned by D.E. Harrison, trained by Gordon Richards and ridden by Richard Dunwoody. And third, number 5, AVRO ANSON, owned by B.P. Skirton, trained by Morris Camacho and ridden by Peter Niven. Fourth was Scott and Banks. But the winner is Jodami, and he's dead on course now for the Grand National. It's officially a photo finish after this race, but the judge has now called the winner as number 1, Jodami, and let's have a look at the closing stages.
Well, this is what it's all about. It was desperately close at the end of it, and Jodami sticks his neck out as Norman Williamson salutes the crowd. That meant a lot to him, but what a steeplechase.
Superb race. No matter what the photograph says, Norman Williamson thinks he's won, doesn't he? He was very brave to try and come and challenge between the two horses. I suppose the horse was very brave to go between the two horses. Norman had to give him a few reminders last down the back just to make his mind up. But he's won with his ears pricked in the end. It's lovely to see that, isn't it?
Both of them have got their ears pricked. But let's take it from the reverse angle. Richard Dunwoody on Unguided Missile up front. He got 1 or 2 a little bit close, but really stood off that a million miles. We mustn't underestimate AVRO ANSON's run here. If he was short, Skew, if he was short of his best, this is a very major run from him.
It is indeed a great run, and he jumped very, very well for Peter Niven. I suppose, again, your heart can only go out for poor Mark Dwyer. Both these horses are his rides, and he must have been not knowing who to shout for. But you can just see Jodami squeezing between those two horses, as I say, very, very brave, because he must have thought that the gap was going to close on him. But Norman riding right at the height of his power now. He's got perhaps the greatest jockey of the modern era, the far side of him, but it's not too daunting for him, and he forces the horse back up in front.
And his second big major win in a week, because he took the